videos. So all the other lectures I recorded and everything, they're on there if you need to go back and look at those as you're coming up on catching up and coming up behind me, so you can view those. And this one will be posted. It'll probably takes a little while to process it and get it uploaded, so it should be up and running on Thursday. Alright, so looking at the operating system customization, and when you get to this, you'll need to do the step-by-steps, and also on lesson 9. Really need to do those on a personal home system. Okay. If you're here in lab and you want to do them, just let me know. If you want to do them in here, then I can do a login and give you permission in certain areas. Okay, because it just the permissions and everything that the IT department provides for students and most faculty are limited. Okay, I do have a little bit higher logon permissions and so forth because of the managing the CAD software and trying to manage the lab, and so I can do certain things that other faculty can't, but that's because I'm in the lab, and keeps them from having to run up here for every little thing that needs to be set. Okay. There we go. So in here, you're learning to use the control panel, or what it's about. You won't learn everything there is, or that is, you won't do every task. So some of it is just acquiring some knowledge about what it does, how to select different control panel settings, setting up a printer, which you definitely won't do in here. I mean, I won't even log in and let you do, because our printers, I mean, they're set up on a network server, print server and what have you, so there's really no way we can do a setup of a printer. And
3D printer right there.
Pardon me?
The 3D printer?
Yes. Yeah, it is. That's a 3D printer. He's about 6 years old. It's my second one. So on the back wall back there, it just kind of goes up in size. You got the little Epson 30, and then the 1100, which is the 11 by 17 paper for drawings, and then the large printer that does 24 by 36 size paper. Well, it's 24 inches wide. It's on a roll. Then I've got a large one that was donated to me up here that works. Haven't had much need for it, but it was given to me by Atmos Energy, and it does 3-foot wide paper. It's on a roll, and I do different projects with these large printers other than printing out drawings. Do different banners and vinyl banners and stuff for the college occasionally. So anyway, we won't be setting up printers. Changing system settings, that's probably going to be kind of limited what you'll be able to do in lab. And installing and uninstalling software, we'll look at how that is done. We won't do it. Troubleshooting common software problems, we'll talk about some of those. So your vocabulary there, got a bunch of words this time, a bunch of different terminology, new terminology to look at. When we're using the control panel in Windows, most operating systems, and I'm not real familiar with Mac operating system, but we're focusing on Microsoft, on Windows, we can change and customize the environment quite a bit for your particular computer. And you know, some of the simple things like organizing your desktop, changing the way it looks, and changing the time, setting your time zone, and adding an account picture so that if you're doing various logons for different people that use your computer, you could have a little picture associated with it. So when we use the control panel, it's accessed down here at the Start button and selecting Control Panel, and you're able to see all the different categories that we'll just touch on today: system and security, network, your hardware and sound. I always thought that was funny that they talked about hardware and sound. Programs, user accounts, appearance and personalization, your clock, language, and the region that you're using, and ease of access, accessibility. So if you have a visual impairment, you know, where you need large print, or you have a hearing problem, there's changes there that can be made, and you can even have you know, have it where it will read to you. I've personally never used very much of that, but it does work. So when we're using the control panel, we can set the system security category, and if you select that, you see it in your taskbar. Once you've selected it, if you minimize it, then it goes down here and you can pick on it, and your system and security settings, and you're able to view these things in the lab. You can view them, but when you try to take action, it's probably going to say, no, I need a administrator password to allow you to do that. So changing your control, you know, your user account control on your personal computer. If you share a computer at home with somebody, you know, you can set up different accounts, user accounts, and password protect those, and then so you have your own place where you can work, and you know, the other user won't mess up your profile or your desktop or anything like that. Just like what we do in here. You know, when you log in, you're going into a user account that's you, and if you've made any changes or anything to the desktop, they're there when you come back the next day. Of course, Windows Firewall is always good to have on. Then your system itself, we'll just click on that one for a moment. This is yet another place where you can access a complete list, specification of what your system is, and tell you what edition of software, specifics about your system, RAM, amount of RAM, what your processor is, and so forth, which sometimes you've got to know that to be able to determine if you can install certain software or not. Okay. Next is your network and internet category, where you can set up to connect to the internet. Different browsers can be set up through there. We can also connect to a home network or a local area network. Create a what you call a home group and sharing options. If you have more than one computer in your home, you can share over a network, either Wi-Fi or hardwire, and be able to share one computer with another, which can come in handy at times. The hardware and sound category has devices and printers, settings for your autoplay, which is, you know, it sounds funny that would be there where hardware is, but autoplay is what you'd want to go into if you don't want your CD or DVDs to start up as soon as you put them in, so you can control whether they're turned on or off when you insert a disc. And of course control all the different ways sound is handled, whether it's system sound, the little beeps and clicks and buzzers and whistles and everything that comes out of the computer when you're clicking on things, or you can turn it all off. Of course, microphones, if you're using those, or other speakers, setting those up. Okay, so managing all your audio devices. Then power options. This is a place where you can set your computer to, you know, go to sleep or use less power after a certain number of minutes, and you've got 2 or 3 scenarios possible. So it's a good thing to go in there and address that. Sometimes, you know, you're working at your computer and it just tends to go black or go to sleep too soon, so you can go in there and tweak that. And other times, if you're running a laptop, you'd want to go in there and use that because you want to set those, because sometimes, you know, you don't want it staying up and running and full powered if you're running on battery, to protect your battery usage as much as possible. So having the hard drive go to sleep, having the monitor turned down or off after a certain amount of time might be something you want to do. Then all the settings for your display are in there, whether you want to make items larger or smaller, and you know, your resolution. And then like I have up here, I have 2 monitors connected. If you have a video card that'll do that, or for your desktop unit, and some laptops also have a dual VGA port, and you can have 2 monitors as well. So that's another thing that may not be available, I'm pretty sure, for student log-on access. But anyway, you can you know, make the size of the units and the elements on your screen larger and smaller. So it's another kind of accessibility thing that's also in here. Then changing display settings. It'll look like this if you have 2 monitors set up, and you can choose which one is primary and which one's secondary, and set the resolutions for those particular monitors one at a time. So you can extend them, and what that means is my display is completely extended, so I can take something, and of course you can't see it up here on the screen, and I can move it all the way over here to this display. Okay, so my desktop area covers what you're seeing up here plus another whole monitor space. Now if you're going into CAD, if you're going into design and drawing, having 2 monitors is pretty well needed. Okay, and we of course just couldn't afford to put 2 monitors in at the beginning, but we're looking at doing that in the near future, adding a larger monitor to what we already have. Okay, so having that capability is very convenient, very helpful. Notice I'm navigating back and forth using the list bar here, or breadcrumbs we call them. So remember, you can do that. You can navigate around to different areas that you've been to, and kind of works like a browser in your Internet Explorer, so forth. Programs that allow you to uninstall and install a program. Under your programs category. So in there if you've never been in there, we're able to uninstall programs, and this works very well compared to the way it used to work in days gone by. It used to be a kind of a mysterious thing whether or not it would work properly. You can sort all the different programs, and it's a good idea on your personal system. I'm not sure it'll even let you look at them on your student login. But it's a good idea to kind of click in there every now and then on your personal system and see what's going on, see what has been installed when you clicked on a particular website or downloaded a picture or downloaded some other little utility or game or program, and what came riding along with it. Okay? So it's a good idea on your system to look at your programs list and then click on and sort it on installation date, and you can look down through there and and see by the date when something was put in there. And if you see something kind of odd, funny name, let's see if I have anything. It's pretty well protected in the lab, so really nothing creeps in, but I have the ability. That's a dimension printing. I have the ability to install stuff, permission to do so, so I have installed different things from time to time, and it'll bring something along with it, but it looks pretty good. So it looks like the last time I installed anything was January of this year. That was when we reformatted the lab and started up new AutoCAD. So it looks pretty clean. I don't see anything odd, any kind of weird named things. Okay. And if you see something, now this right here is kind of a funky name, but it's Microsoft. I'm not sure what it does. But if you see something that you don't recognize, you're not familiar with, that you installed, and it's fairly recent or matches up when you were doing some installation or changes to your computer, then you can, of course, just Google that name or search that name on the web and see what that software is, and see, it'll, usually you can find out whether it's a good thing or it's something that you want by doing that and read about it, and then go ahead and decide to uninstall it or not. Okay, your default programs are set here. That would be your default user programs. And desktop gadgets, kind of the fun things to add to your desktop. There's gobs and gobs of those available out there on the web. So some of them are very handy to have running if you're running a computer all the time. And so those are set there. And then there's Java. Okay, Java, ever present, always wanting to update. Very needed to run a lot of different application programs and things over the web. So the settings for it and what it is will be right there underneath programs. That's interesting. It appears as its own, its own entity inside of Windows instead of being listed perhaps under something else. All right. Then under user accounts and family safety, this is where you can set up a user account. Yeah, they don't really call it family safety anymore. I guess that would be on your personal Windows system. They must pull the family safety thing off of it for the Windows Professional installation. So it'll look a little different on yours perhaps than what we see in the lab here. So here you can set up different user accounts. Windows card space. I'm not real familiar with that. Let's see what if it'll even let me access it. Probably shouldn't have picked that. Select a card to preview. So I guess it's a business card thing. Let's see what it is. Creating relationships with websites and online services. I don't know why I said business card. Sites to request information from you. You review the identity of a site. I am totally inexperienced with card space, so I'm going to have to read up on that. Okay, your credential manager, your Windows credentials, that is who can do what, okay, who's allowed to do changes and so forth, and certificates, and so usernames and passwords. Here in the lab, in this college, we don't use the Windows Vault for any of that. It's probably a good thing where you can store your passwords in various pieces of information. The appearance and personalization category, you possibly would be in there a lot, making the desktop and so forth look just like you want. And pull that back up. Changing the theme, you know, making the computer something that expresses you. Changing the background of the desktop, you know, which we don't allow in here. We just keep the standard old Windows flying window screen. Changing the colors, you know, because the glass, the dialog boxes and windows, you know, you can see through them, so you can change the glass colors. You can change the screensaver. I don't know, screensavers are not as big an issue as they used to be, you know, with LCDs and LED type screens. The old CRTs, they would actually get kind of a ghost image burned into them, and it would just kind of be there, you know, kind of annoying in the background always if it was burned in. So screensavers, I don't use them anymore myself, you know. Of course, we've already looked at display, so it appears here as well as over in hardware. Your gadgets show up again. Your taskbar and start menu, where you can customize what you see down here and how it behaves. Again, your ease of access center shows up again, and to make accommodations for low vision, and actually also have a screen reader, and adjust your contrast. And then folder options. On your personal system, you won't be able to do it here. Under the folder options in view, you look down in here and you see a category called hidden files and folders, and right now mine is set to don't show hidden files and folders. And if you're a manager in the computer system, or it's a computer system that you personally own, or if you're working somewhere where you're using a CAD system or application programs that create these hidden files and folders that have temporary information stored in them, sometimes you have to get to that information. You have to access it if there's a crash and be able to restore information from those. So you turn those hidden files and folders on so that you can see them. So basically, it's useful when you're in kind of a manager role. As a standard user, you don't really need to see the hidden files or folders very often. Then, let's see. There's a checkbox here called Display the Full Path in the title bar. This is up in the top when you've got a application program open. You want to see where it is stored exactly, all the folder directories, directory folders that is. That's a place where you would check that. And then normally I have this unchecked right here, hide extensions for known file types. Okay, so if you uncheck that, and again, you can go ahead, and I don't mind you trying to do this in the lab. I'm pretty sure it won't let you. It's a good idea to have that turned off, because then you can see the TXT, the DOCX, the XLS, all the different extensions will show up in your folder, okay? Your folder view. You actually see it at the end of the file instead of having to look over there and look at the type, okay? So it's just another way of classifying the type of file you're working with. It's a carryover from those extensions from the original personal computer disk operating system. That's how they managed the file system. That's how it was set up, and it continues to today in the Windows system with the 3-letter extensions. Well, actually you can have 4-letter extensions as well. They've expanded that. Another nostalgic thing, piece of trivia, before Windows took complete control, it was been Windows, I believe after 3.1, Windows 3.0, I mean it came out, it was funny, it was 1 and 2, didn't last very long. But anyway, I think it was with Windows 3.1, you know, they made the extension could be up to 4 characters, and then the file name was expanded from 8 characters to 256. So prior to that, we had to name everything using just 8 characters. That's all we could name our file. And it couldn't have any other things but just numbers and letters in it. All right. And of course you can load and set your fonts if you're getting into that, where you want some different fonts. Okay, so you can control that here and personalize it. Personalize your screen using different fonts. I don't recommend messing with that too much, because they have studied what displays the best, and but have at it. If it's your personal one, you want it to look different or be personalized, go for it. Of course, the clock and language region to personalize it, to localize your computer. So, just kind of in the review, your control panel settings, changing date and time, audio and volume, and mouse and keyboard control, those kind of things. You'll be in more often and set those up. You can change date and time settings down here as well by just clicking on there. Has a little button for that. Security settings. Occasionally you'll have to, on your personal system, you'll have to turn a network firewall on or off and choose how much protection you want. You need to decide how often you want Windows to do your updates, whether you want them to do automatic or whether you want them to be when you manually want it. Okay. Your virus protection, depending on the virus protection software that you install, if you use a third party or another party besides Microsoft's Forefront, then your virus protection settings would be with that. Otherwise, your virus protection settings would be under security using Microsoft. Now, spyware and unwanted software protection is also in your security settings that you need to decide what level you want to use there. Most of them in the lab and in my home personal ones, I have it maxed out. The internet security settings are in there, your user account control, and your network access protection. When we set up a printer, that is involved with really just choosing add a printer, and then you'll get a list that you can choose from for the brand, for the manufacturer, and unless it's some really old one or brand new one, I mean just really, really new one, and your Windows hasn't been updated for a little bit, then you might not have the drivers for it. So you may have to reach out there and install the drivers first before you can do add a printer. You can remove a device by simply right-clicking on one, or remove device button is right there, or you can right-click on one and delete a device through the icon. Okay? So with proper permissions, you can change your computer settings. We've established that. We have also the system restore option inside of Windows, where if your system becomes out of control or it's not functioning properly, you can restore it back to a previous date, okay, of installation. And so you do want to visit the system restore and make changes in there. Installing new software is pretty straightforward. They have dumbed it down for us from days gone by, from the past, from the history. So you can just install a CD or a DVD into the drive, and a lot of times it'll autoplay and start up, and you just follow the prompts. Of course, you can download it, which you will be doing to get your AutoCAD software on your personal system, and install it from the internet. When it comes time to uninstall, we go to the program listing like I showed you earlier and do the uninstall. We're not using any of this in here, but there is available to you software as a service, which is the Outlook and the Office software that's available through Outlook and through the college. So you can get the complete set of Office software and run it on your personal system. And but the Word or Excel or PowerPoint or whatever does not fully install on your drive. You're running it, a kernel of it, at your drive, and it's running through the internet. So you can have user accounts we've talked about that are basically set up by the owner of the initial computer setup, and so when you buy one, you have the ability to set yourself up as the administrator, and then set up other people that might use your computer, or you could set up a generic log on in case somebody wants to use your computer for a moment. You could give them a separate area to use. So in the user accounts, you can set your picture, of course change your account name. So you're creating an account on the computer, not with Microsoft or any other software company. It's an account on your system. When you set up mail, that's under user accounts. You'll use the Outlook wizard to set up an email account using Outlook. It'll prompt you for several pieces of information related to your POP server, they call it, for your email system. And you'll have to type those in or enter those in. A lot of times it is not an automatic process. And you can have multiple email accounts using the Outlook system and switch between them or have them use all the same inbox. Okay, talking about common software problems, things that you have to do, they're calling them installation problems. Install and uninstall software on a network. Okay, that requires somebody with some network certification. Okay, they're Microsoft certified, and they have the knowledge and the skill to be able to do that onto a network server. Beyond my pay grade. Defective or lost media will cause a problem if you don't have all the CDs, or if part of the folder you downloaded is missing. Okay, sometimes the installation program won't start. It's corrupted. It just won't start. It's got a problem. You're going to have to try and re-download or make contact with the company you bought it from to see if you can get it repaired or replaced. Sometimes your installation will stop before it completes. Again, for sometimes very unexplained reasons, missing data. So your steps there are to try it again. Or just contact the company and see if you can get a different installation disk or re-download. If it's not displayed, I would say that it just did not install properly or you didn't get all the files. Your installed program fails to work, which I think that's kind of related to these other things. But once you've got it installed and it says, hey, everything's good, it's installed, it's ready to go, but then it doesn't work. Okay, your remedy there again is to go back to the original company. I mean, I don't really know. That's the first line of defense you're going to do. Other programs fail to work after a new product is installed. That's a possibility, you know. It's trying to access or changes other installation files for other software that it may work up under or within. And AutoCAD or Autodesk products can have the potential for being troublesome in this area. If you've got an older version of AutoCAD and you install one of their application programs and it happens to be named in the same directory, it can disable and cause problems with the rest of the previous installed software. So I would say at that point, if your other programs fail to work, you can try uninstalling the newly installed software and then see if the others will return. If not, then you're faced with trying to reinstall everything, all the programs that are giving you trouble, and then contact the company of the new software about the problem. So if files can't be read by a new application, usually there are settings inside the application software about where particular files are located. access to an online application is denied, you probably don't have the proper passwords or access codes installed, or the company changed the location of them, changed their process for accessing. Again, you'll have to go back to them for assistance there. And then if an online application is not available, man, that could be all kinds of reasons. You know, server problems, registration problems, hardware problems on your end. It could be not communicating. You'll have to be sure that you are communicating and that you have all the proper codes and access and authority. And then if that's not working, you'll have to, again, contact the software manufacturer. If all of your hardware and software is up to date and running properly, everything else. I wanted to, this is a little added information about phishing and spyware. So there's all kinds of software out there that looks friendly and looks nice and, you know, very helpful kind of stuff. It's free for download. That's where you really, a lot of it comes in. If you're looking for free software from all these downloads sites, CNET, I mean, even though they guarantee they're 100% clean and all that, it can still happen. Little quick games to play and different things like that. Videos sometimes can have them embedded in it, believe it or not, and pictures can actually have stuff embedded in it. So it's really going to happen if you not necessarily view it online, but if you download a picture from a website, it can bring some, you know, bad stuff in with it. So basically, spyware sits in the background and secretly monitors all your activity. It collects all that, and then at some point it takes all that database of information and spits it out to whoever created it. It'll package it and put it inside of something else, and when you're online, it'll connect and download it. You won't even know it. Okay? But there's spyware that collects all your keystrokes, all your movements, your screen, everything. Okay? Now if you notice you're sitting there using your computer and your hard drive light just seems to always be flashing. That usually means, you know, if it's not doing a scan, you know, you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there, you've just turned your computer on, and then the hard drive light just keeps on going, on and on and on and on and on. You know, you might want to pull your network or take it off of network, close your Wi-Fi or whatever, and see if it continues. Okay, if it continues to doing it, then maybe the Windows operating system is organizing files or doing an index. If you've searched for files recently and then stopped the search before it finished, it might be doing that. It does do some indexing automatically. So you've got to be careful about that. Watch for that. You can also look at your status of your network connection. You'll either have the little Wi-Fi bars down here telling you what your strength is. I don't know if it'll let me see the network mapping. Yeah, network administrator has to do it. So you can ask it to map. You can go to troubleshoot and let it detect problems, see if there is any problems with that. here we go. Your local area connection, or it would be, I was just so used to seeing Wi-Fi, I was not recognizing it. You can look here and you can see sent and received going on. You can actually see your activity. Okay? So you can see it's going to bump along, you know. There's some stuff being sent and received right now. I'm not doing anything, you know, but I am on the network connected, like this PowerPoint and everything is on my laptop over in my office. I'm running it from there. So you're going to see some of that, but if you're at home or somewhere in public, you know, using a Wi-Fi system, you can check here and just see how much activity is going on too. Okay, if your hard drive light is really carrying on. Anyway, move onward. So it infects your computer when you visit certain websites. You don't have to necessarily download something a lot of times. Adware can come in, which it'll open up pop-up ads and start those up, but you've got to go into your browser and set that back to a level where, you know, pop-ups are denied. And then phishing sites, websites come in through your email, or when you're out there in the internet looking around and you maybe decide you want to order something or you're looking for something. So it'll look very official. And you can turn on a smart screen filter in the internet so you can filter out phishing and spyware, and Google Chrome has it in their safe browsing technology in their setup. So what they try to do is get you to, you know, enter information so that this will go away, or you can get additional information about this product. And one of the bad malwares or adwares that can get into the Windows operating system, it'll look just like a desktop, and it'll say something, it'll pop up and it looks just like your desktop screen and say, you know, you need to update your Windows system, you know, and you can be in this, it'll start a vicious loop where, you know, you can click to exit off, and then it'll just come right back around and appear on your screen again. And it says that you need to log in and buy this software update from Microsoft. There's one out there that does that. It wants your credit card information to buy it. And it gets people all the time. Okay. About 3 years ago, it made its way into my lab. I'm not sure how it got in here, but it was on several computers in here, and you know, showed up inside of here. So they can get in. Malware is, you know, also called badware. Its intention is to damage or disable your computer or an entire server. Okay, and you got things that can clean them and search them, but we've had situations where the only thing you can do to get rid of it is to reformat the hard drive. There's nothing that'll clean it out. You know, it's been identified and they can tell it's in there with certain software applications. They can find it, but they can't make it go away. It duplicates itself or something once it's been touched. So if you get one of those bad things, you know, about the only way is to redo your hard drive, copy it over. And that's basically what I was talking about. All right, so actually a couple minutes over, so I'm not going to do the summary. I will post all of this for you.